All right, so now we're going to use our vanishing points to establish the rest of the chair. This gets pretty fast and fun. I'm going to connect this back corner that connects leg 2 to leg 4. Back to the vanishing point really quick. And now you can start seeing kind of the footprint of the chair, which becomes a square in perspective. As we extrude that square, we can start noticing, and these, if you're looking in space, are just implied lines, but that this chair follows the rules of a cube. And it kind of has to. For us to be using the rules of linear perspective, at least in the way we are right now, you have to start with a form that follows the rules of a cube. So we're getting that I'm just on my little initial drawing, suggesting that cube shape, because I think what you've probably noticed already is that our chair shape is fancier as you look at it than just a basic cube. But when we're using rules of perspective, we make it simple in terms of that root shape before we make it hard. So we're going to be thinking about, even though this chair is quite complex, we're going to be thinking about how most of its shapes that relate to the parallel planes could fit inside a cube or a box. Does that make sense? So keep that in mind, and we'll get all of these measurements to relate to that cube shape, and then we'll make them more complex. So as we cite the locations of the shapes that we are going to be finding on this chair, I want you to be thinking about them landing on a simpler line, not this graceful arc right away. And we'll be drawing this back, or the leg, which becomes the brace of chair leg number 2 here. We'll just be doing them along a straight line. Okay, all right, here I go. So sighting from my measuring position, using my measuring stick, I'm just gonna grab chair leg number 2, its length from top to bottom, pinch it, mark it on my measuring stick, bring it down, and mark it on my drawing. Its top is right there. All right, now I'm gonna bring that back, get it back into its position, and you might have to do a little swiveling back and forth to get these heights, but I'm going to mark the position of other shapes that I see riding along that long edge. So I see this little brace here, lands on that long leg of number 2. The seat ends there, the little apron for that seat. All right, we got the lower back brace and upper back brace all get to be tick marks along that straight line. I can take those tick marks back, align them, and then use that vertical that I made just like a ruler just to gesture in the positions of those landmarks on the chair. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my vanishing point to start asserting the angles that it relates to the shapes that run parallel to angle number 1 and 2. So that's going to be this brace. There's a little bit of design, a little bit of a new angle on this seat. We'll do that later, but as it's root form, it's going to go back to vanishing point because the seat needs to be parallel to the floor, right? We can get this brace back here too, and the back of the seat. We'll do all of that in this next section of measurements, and then we're going to have to switch over to our other vanishing point. Okay, I'm going to extend, or maybe not extend, but darken the lines that I made for leg 1 and leg 3 just so we can really see it. And I might lighten my orthogonals a little bit back here so you don't get confused. Okay, all right, here we go. So I'm going to go for my first landmark, which is going to be this little brace down here. I'll take my ruler, pull it back to vanishing point. You can also use, if you are finding that your ruler is not long enough, you can always use a string for this. Just tape it on this end. Let this dangle, and you can rotate it really nicely off a vanishing point that way. Sometimes you're going to observe vanishing points really far out, and so using a string works really well. If you are in class, I will help you set that up when I see you next. All right. The next little landmark that I have is the bottom apron of the seat. So I'm hitting my tick mark, I'm keeping the other end on the vanishing point, and then I'm extending that line down. It's going to be the bottom of that seat apron. Okay, same thing, vanishing point, measured tick mark that I made. I'm going to extend it over to hit leg 1 because that's the corner of that front of the seat. And that's going to be the top of my seat. There is a sort of intermediate measurement of the seat that I could take to or just eyeball and use the vanishing point to get it accurate. Right there. That sort of shows that height of the wooden seat. All right. We're going to come up to that corner. Might give a little bit of depth to the brace. Just a little bit. There we go, just so we can see it.